What's going on? Well, geez, man, what a crazy night. How's it going, everybody? My name's Carmen. This is Nothmar. There are just two of us today. We're waiting for the rest of us to join, but we wanted to jump in and get started. The week has been crazy. I had fun. I was just telling Nothmar, for me, I looked at this week as a rebuild week. I think when everything is falling, if everything is falling roughly at the same time, at the same rate or whatever you want to call it, then you really can use this as an opportunity if you can time some things the right way to maybe wash yourself out and jump back in and maybe grab some things that you weren't able to grab before. So before I get into what I bought personally, I think I'm going to throw it to Nothmar first just to see what he thinks about the flow of the week and where everything is situated. Nothmar, what do you got? Oh, wait, he just exit the. There he is.
I'm hearing a double video. I'm hearing a double video here. So a double sound. I'm hearing a double sound mic.
Okay.
Hmm.
But you weren't hearing it before?
I wasn't hearing before. Now I have like an echo. I hear an echo. Interesting.
You want me to log out and then log back in? I can do that.
Yeah, let's log out and log back.
All right, I'll leave and then come back in.
Hello, I'm back. Hey guys, we're just having some technical issues. Just waiting for Carmen to join back.
All right, how's the sound coming through? You are muted.
There we go. I had to disable my Jabra.
All right, how's the sound coming through? You are muted.
Wow, there's like a delay when
I'm hearing it through yours.
I had to disable my Jabra.
All right, how's the sound?
Oh, here we go. Oh, okay. I see. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we're good.
All right. Yeah, I mean it's been a crazy week. I think with the market dipping really hard, right? A lot of like NFTs like have been dropping. So it was dropping like previously already for like a week or so, and then even with all these multiple drops coming, and then with the after that AMA, I think stuff still continued to drop. Um, I think it's kind of we're noticing a lot of people were attributing it to correction of a market that was probably really extremely high because of over speculation, and then also a lot of botters. I've been hearing left and right we're getting zapped by Veve. So I think it's a combination of the market correcting and then botters getting zapped, and then might be attributing to some of the correction from what I see. And then also we had that big updates from Veve about the MTL, right? So that was like that was also kind of factored in. I don't know if people are selling or trying to dump their NFTs to try to get the max that they can do before the market drops after MTL. I'm not sure. Maybe that's a factor. But but yeah, but there's a lot of things to digest, right? And then there was a lot of drops happening, a lot of comic book drops, a lot of like recent James Bond drops and etc. So a lot of things were happening. I think as the market was dropping, it's hard to pinpoint it exactly, but I mean it's interesting. I mean you gotta depending on what your strategy is and when you entered the market, you probably got hit hard, or you've lost a good chunk of your portfolio. If you've been in here like we have since last year, right? Like I had stuff since last year, and I think I lost a good chunk of my portfolio.
Yeah, I think what's crazy is yes, I feel like I lost my portfolio value, but I'm still up significantly, right? Like I think I'm trying to keep my perspective here where I'm like, wait a minute, like I invest money into the stock market all the time, and and in my mind with that, I'm like, oh well, it's a 30-year game. Sometimes you lose money, and it is what it is. And I think I need anybody who's doing this. I think playing Veve for the short term flip is becoming less and less the move, because we are no longer, I don't think, in the early adoption phase in a lot of ways. You know what I mean? Like, or maybe we're at the tail end of early adopters, but you just can't navigate the world as easily as we did when it was October, where ASM ones were still $25. New Mutants 98 was $7, $8, and you could make a ton of mistakes and it really wasn't that big of a deal. I think now we're kind of in that world where you really just have to, like you said, you have to have some strategy. You have to be a little bit more thoughtful with how you're moving your money around. I'm still super optimistic, but the MTL thing, I think, was it's interesting, right? Like people started doing the math and they're like, wait a minute, I've been waiting for MTL, and I realized that I'm not going to make as much money as I thought cashing out with this process that they're rolling out. So let me just try and scramble and make my money now in a different way. And then, it is what it is. So I think that's happening too, where, like you said, like the MTL news kind of pushed people out. But I think that's good, because I think it's going to build us a healthier floor moving forward, because everybody who was really money hungry, who's getting out, is creating opportunity for other people to get in. Like I bought a Marvel Comics 1 tonight for 315 gems, and that really wasn't in that world it's the lowest it's been in a month.
Yep.
And we've talked about it all the time. I think that's going to be $1,000 gem book. So in my mind, I'm like, okay, well, I can triple up on that. Why wouldn't I do that right now? That was out of the question when it was 700 gems or even 650 gems,
Yeah. I think the question is sometimes too, it's like, I do the same thing with stocks. When you see something long term, we invest in like, a stock, you think it's going to grow to like 1,000 when it's currently 300, but then it's dipping because there's a negative momentum, like that's what they say. The thing is, you don't know how low it can go. So is 315 the lowest for MC1? It might still go down. Be prepared that it might go down to 300 or 250. And before everybody starts looking at the numbers and say, oh, wow, it was 700, 215 looks like a deal. Everybody starts jumping in. Then the next thing you know, it's going to start trending up again, right? So I think it has to finish that negative momentum, and then people start believing in it again and start buying in. So, I mean, I think it's MC1 is still the book to get, right, for a comic, and definitely 1,000. I think is definitely in the realm of possibility, maybe more. We were joking one time that it should be like 5,000, like in a couple years. So
yeah, and I think it's one of those books. Like I've got 10 Fantastic Four ones because I believe in what those comics are going to be in literally 1 year, and that's kind of like I've talked about it with Sean. This idea of a 5-year plan, but I feel like within the next year we're going to see some really crazy, solid floors start to to happen, because even when the pumps happened, when it was happening, we were like, there's no way this is gonna stay where it is. So yeah, I'm still optimistic. So the comics for this week, we got Fantastic Four Annual 3, Iron Fist, and Spider-Man.
Yes.
I think those 3 books, I took those in as a sigh of relief, that we weren't really scrambling too much. I think these are going to turn into the dollar bin books, in the near future, where they're going to end up at like $9, $7.
Yeah. Well, it depends, right? The Fantastic Four annual, yeah, that one possibly. The first Misty Knight,
Oh well, that's a 10,000. That was only 10K mint, so that's different.
that's different. So, and they might use her in future, future episodes, right? And I think what happens to her? I think something happens. She gets also some powers, also. I think in the comic books, right?
Yeah, and she has the metal arm.
She has the metal arm. I do have the floppy for that one. The Spider-Man, I think has some upside. I do have probably like 10 copies of the physical one for that.
Oh wow.
But it's a spec, right? And I'm not usually sold on first meetings of characters, but I thought it was really cool, Miles and Peter Parker meeting for the first time. I thought that was a cool thing, and I looked at the floppies, the physical prices. I think prices were trending up. It's still affordable. I think you can get them for anywhere from $20 to $50 for raw. So it's not like a high ticket book yet. I think some graded, maybe you can go higher, $80 to $100 or more. So it's something. It's a minor key, but usually when I invest, though, I invest in first appearances.
Same.
And less on these, right? Unless I don't know. I think the Miles factor might help this book push it to over 100 for the physical version, and I think the NFT, it's possible it might have some potential, but I think it's a major spec, so I don't think that's it's less likely to happen. So I think you're better off investing in some of the first appearances instead.
Right. Now speaking of first appearances, we got the golden moments this week, the Valentine's Day stuff.
Nice.
My call was Ducks at 1,200, Dogs at like 800, and I think they're both doing a little better than that, but not by much. I think the Ducks are 1,300, and I think the Dogs are like 850, 900.
Yeah, it varied. I think the market was trending up for it trended up, and then it trended down, right? And then it's going back up again for Donald Duck. The Tramps, I think they went, like you said, they went under 1K. It was a good opportunity to get a golden moments for under 1K. So that's something I'm monitoring. But I'm kind of holding most of my stuff right now, so I'm not buying too much unless it's something that I kind of think is a good value.
Yeah, and I think the golden moments are going to become a serious talking point, I think, over the next year, because it worries me a little bit. Not worry has a negative connotation. I just am critical of all of these golden moments, because I begin to ask, what's the function of these things? If it's just a collectible, that's fine, but you start to see these ceilings start to pop up where if I'm going to buy the Dogs, right? If I'm going to go Lady and the Tramp and I don't have a Homer, I'm going Homer. Same thing with Donald Duck. Donald Duck's cool, but it's not Generation 1 golden moments. And if I don't have a Homer, I'd probably just go with a Homer. That's one of the reasons why I spent, all the last couple of days chasing down that golden hat, because I feel like if the tide shifts, and that I think the hat and even Elsa, these gold moments are really starting to come down.
Yeah.
If you have all of them, well, then go for the Ducks and the Dogs. But if you don't, I don't know why you buy them.
See, I really think that Disney is going to give some utility. Either, I don't know, give free discount passes to Disneyland or discounts on toys. Because dude, I went with my daughter, right? She loves, for example, Paw Patrol right now, and that's Nickelodeon. Dude, there's so much products. Like they just pumped out so many like new dogs, new places for the dogs to go. And Disney's the same thing, right? They're pumping shows and TVs. There's they can easily create a new product and say, hey, every once every February 25 you can have like a free ticket to go to Disneyland or ride one of the rides for free or something like that, right? It's not that hard. So I really think that they should be able to think about some sort of utility for these golden moments, especially since they're tied to all those statues that I think we saw right in Disneyland. So
Yeah, the I completely agree with you. I think it's too easy for them to just do it,
yeah,
and it's money forever, and it doesn't really cost them anything now.
yeah,
And I think you're going to probably see something like it's either a discount passes. One of the reasons why I grabbed that hat was because I wanted a second set of golden moments, because I think you're probably going to see maybe, I'm sure they're smarter than me, but my brain says make the set worth one value, and then, the items in the set separate worth something else. So then it really forces people to start collecting both of them. And how hard could it be if I can just go to the park and show my NFTs, or it creates a QR code? I'm sure that would be super easy.
Yeah,
to shake out.
Yeah, worst comes to worst, they also, because I posted that Disney has hired some executive teams, for their NFT space, right? So they're probably figuring out, hey, we'll create a Disney World metaverse, right? And then you can get, I don't know, you can play to win a free trip to Disneyland, but you need to unlock them by, if you go to this house and you wear your Mickey, you need a Mickey sorcerer's hat to do some magic or whatever like that, right? So you can get in, something, right? That's even us not even thinking about it, that you can come up with some sort of utility, right? These guys are probably thinking hard. They'll probably do something creative, right?
Yeah, and they just released that information about I'm butchering this explanation, but in Disneyland in California, they're creating like a live-in experience world, which is super creepy, like the Westworld show on HBO. But
in the metaverse,
no, like it's an immersive theme park experience.
Nice.
So you go there, you're living in this immersive Disney world, and they have like scripts, I guess, for you to sort of navigate.
Yeah, I mean, that's amazing, right? Or either they'll do a virtual reality like immersive experience there, and then you log in, then you pick out your NFTs too, that whatever you have to help you through the immersive experience. They can do so many things. So I think I guess in that respect we are still early adopters, because that seems to be the phase 2 of what the potential is for NFTs, is utility, right?
Yeah,
they haven't done anything yet, right? So I think that's probably a more mature metaverse experience. So.
Right. That makes sense. Now, the last 2 things that dropped this week dropped today. We had the No Time to Die poster and the motorcycle. I am obsessed with that motorcycle for the sheer reason that I think it's beautiful, and I really want to be able to ride it in the metaverse, and I really want to be able to rent it out if I possibly can. But it ties in the Triumph brand too, so it kind of opens us up to another art world. I'm more bullish on the motorcycle. The poster, I can't believe it dropped for $87. Like,
well, see, posters, I've collected a few. I've been tracking some of them because I do like to add art and posters, but a lot of the Bond posters and posters for some like what do you call it?
There's like Back to the Future and Bill and Ted.
Yeah, or Ultraman. Bill and Ted, I think some of those I wanted it, but it was already semi-high. I think Ultramans there's still some of them that were still affordable, and I wanted to get more. So, but I noticed they haven't been pumping, right? So I think posters have kind of been lagging. Maybe, I don't know why. Maybe collectors aren't into maybe posters. They don't see that as a valuable collectible. I'm not sure. So I think everybody's chasing the statues and the comics. I'm not sure if posters have you know have generated enough interest. I mean, I think there's potential, right? Because like once there's more, I think it's cool to have a house. You create your own metaverse like a room, and then I'll put posters around my room. Why not, right? So to make
Yeah,
it
I think
cool.
the posters thing. I think the problem with I'm all in. I love the idea of posters. My problem with posters right now is just the availability of the art, right? Like I would much rather have. I'm trying to think of like my college dorm room, and I'm like, oh man, I
Yeah,
had a Fight Club movie poster,
yeah,
right? Like
yeah,
Fight Club, Reservoir Dogs, Goodfellas. Like there were just those sorts of
yeah,
like,
yeah.
you know, den movie posters that were sort of Clockwork Orange, all those, and those are super cool. And even some 007 posters would be cool, but there are just so many. I guess the Steve Rogers one is neat because it's so niche and weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm optimistic about the posters, but right at $87, the only thing that's saving them, I think, is the fact that they're one of one in a set, and you do get two
Yeah.
MCP for it. So
Yeah. I mean, maybe thinking about it, like if because there's so many cool posters, right? Like whenever I go to my LCS2, I try to look for new posters so I can put up on my workspace here. So there's so many cool posters that they can probably do. So maybe there's more potential there if they pick out really good artwork from like Frank Miller or from
right.
Adams and make those as NFTs. So those would be dope, right? So maybe as a collector, we're holding out on some better ones. I don't know, possible.
Well, here's the thing that's going to get tricky. When we can hang up our comic books,
Yeah,
if we can make them bigger, I can absolutely, like, why would you'd have to have a really, really, really cool poster to pick the poster over some of these covers,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So that's where it's going to get. Will the new utility of the comic books devalue a lot of these posters?
That's a good point. Yeah, because comics will have at least at the bare minimum two utility, right? Being able to read the story and then the front artwork you can display that, right? I have actually seen somebody post a virtual a virtual comic book exhibit. They also posted the interiors of some of their comics, right? So that's kind of cool too. I was debating doing that in one of my virtual exhibits also.
Yeah,
So
that's
that is true. So yeah, posters have to have something more other than just just being like a regular poster. I mean, they have to be really cool looking or something that like a Carmen would in college would put up on his room, right? So
right. Or and again, if I'm going to pick a poster, like I would just go with some of the decon artwork is pretty cool,
yep,
and I would probably pick that stuff over again the Bond poster. In my brain, and this is probably economically maybe not the best way to think, but I just think maybe they're overpriced. Like instead of like these posters should probably be $13,
I think
and they
so.
should probably print as many of them as as a short run of comics, right? 10K, 30K.
Yeah,
I think you would see more spending if that were the case, as opposed to $87 that loses value. Because I think at the $13 price point, let's say, you get the velocity of money, and I think they're going to be bought and sold much more frequently than the poster that was, yes, it was $87. It was bought from the market. It was bought from the store, sold in the marketplace, but now it's just sitting in someone's account for a year because they can't unload it.
yep, exactly. I mean, and I'm in other groups that a lot of people said that they're passing on the drops today, right? They did mention the same thing, that the motorcycle was cool, so that one they will go for. But for the posters, majority of the people that I noticed said they're passing on the posters. So I think the price was definitely aggressive. They definitely should have lowered it to, I don't know, $13 or whatever, and just
Yeah.
print more. But I think it's probably a license deal or something that they said, hey, we want to keep it low. This is our strategy to keep the level of collectability high by making it low edition, and we'll charge more so it looks like expensive. So I'm sure they probably pitched that to the 007 team or whatever, right?
Right.
So,
That makes sense.
yeah.
That makes sense. Now, we'll move on to money well spent. We're gonna stick with if you had $1,000, how would you spend it? And I think the conversation this week might be a little different than last week because
Definitely different. A lot of prices have changed in the market, right? So
yeah. So what are you thinking?
I mean, I'm still fairly sticking to like the big ones, right? The Wonder Woman is now $600, right? So
Oh, it's down to 6.
down 600. Oh well, 600 to 619 to 650 is the floor, dude. I would definitely jump on that. I already have a few, so I mean, I'll debate getting another one if it goes a little bit lower, but definitely Wonder Woman. The Spidey's collectibles also commons I think are now in the 500 range. So those are, if you don't have Spidey now before the next pump, those are the good ones to take. I think the Joe Madera Batman and the Doctor Doom, I think, are also hitting 1K now or 900.
Yeah.
So those are, last chance opportunity to get them before they pump. Or the first Harley, the Bruce Timm Harley, 630. That's good. Jokers now are 945 to 1.1K floor. So I would definitely go for those. Yeah, I mean those are the big ones, and then all the mighties, right? Ghost Spider, you definitely monitor that. It's 92 to 99 floor now. I still think it's probably gonna go to 80s or 70s. So I would buy one, but don't go crazy and buy 20 because it's possible it might still dip, right? So, but I definitely want to get some more. I got like three of them. I want to get some more, but only if the price is right. If I miss it, I miss it, right? So, but yeah, Spider-Man come 575 now. This was like 800 or 900, I think, a few weeks ago. So
Yeah, I'm pretty much in a similar place. If I was going to go a $1,000 shot right now and I didn't have them, I mean, even if it might even be worth to get a second one. And I had one and sold it, so now I only have one. Joe Batman,
Joe Batman.
Joe Bats, and that Jim Lee Joker. I just think those two. I think those two are the best $1,000 bets right now, simply because they carry the most weight. Like no one is more important than the Joker.
Yep.
Period. I think there is no more important antagonist in popular culture than the Joker.
Yeah.
And it's Jim Lee's artwork. I just think it's a slam dunk. And then I'm really heavy on Joe Bats because all the other ones are so expensive. It's just the cheapest season one. Personally, I think it looks the coolest, but it's just the cheapest season one. So
first edition, right? First edition.
Yeah, and we're only really in year one. So in 5 years, people are gonna be like, "You have one of the first Batman."
Dude, in 5 years, there's going to be at least 10 to 20 Batman, collectibles pumped out by then, and you're gonna have the first one, right? So
yep, and I think the Batman Croc is a good example of. I mean, people were sweating. It's beautiful. It's cool. If you can afford it, great. So I'm going to preface it with those sort of qualifiers. But I think that was a great test where, the Bat Croc was coming out and everybody was like, oh my God, it's going to be worth so much. It's the first color and it's the first battle statue and it's the first Croc. First of all, I mean, I don't want to offend any Batman fans, but like who really cares about Croc? Like at the end of the day, right? He's definitely like a tier 7 villain.
Yeah,
so,
yeah, exactly. I mean, I posted a poll for that, right, to check what people's thoughts are. Hey, is this what is the heavy, what is the heavy importance for that collectible? Is it the first colored Batman? Is it the first Croc? And majority said it's the first Croc, the first colored Batman. Sure, it's cool, but what's gonna drive it is it's the first Croc, right? So, if you're a collector, who, and we don't care, sure, buy it, first colored Batman. So let the market decide. But so far it's dipping hard, so it's not holding value, right?
And
So,
and there was a point in time where Joe Bats and the Bat Croc battle statue were roughly around the same price.
same. Oh no,
And
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it went up to 1,600, I think, for the
yeah,
Joe Crack, right? So
yep.
I mean, I want one, but I'm probably gonna wait till it's under 300.
And that's where I'm like, we've talked. Like, I was like, man, I'm thinking it'll probably stay around 650, but I mean, if it's at 300, I'm buying it.
It's possible 650 is the
And
one.
it goes back to that idea of the Wonder Woman thing. Like, as these additional statues start to come out,
Yep.
the proof will be in the pudding, and almost always, and I'll use that qualifier, almost always the season 1 first appearance, whatever, will win, because if someone has one of each and they're gonna sell one,
yep,
it's always safer to err on the side of having the original,
yes,
than having like the second or third appearance. I mean, and from a comic book collector's perspective, can you imagine someone be like, do you want Werewolf the first appearance of Moon Knight, or do you want the second appearance of Moon Knight? Which one would you sell? You'd be like, well, for sure sell the second appearance, right?
yeah, and they're the same price. Even if now you do a battle, for the same price, they're both $600. Do you get first Batcroc, or first Wonder Woman? Definitely Wonder Woman. Then I'll get the Batcroc too. I want to get that Batcroc. I mean, maybe the first colored Batman will have some value, so I do still want to hedge and get it, but I'm not gonna overpay for it, right? So
Right.
I'll get it if it's under whatever, $400 or whatever.
Yeah.
Possibly, but the Wonder Woman, I can easily, without even like a doubt, I'll tell you, load up, get 10, 20. Well, when it was under 300 at the time, get 10, 20 of them, right? So
yeah.
Now, I mean, it's expensive. Load up, get at least 3. I don't know, get 5. I have 5. Get at least a couple, because it could definitely hit the same numbers as Superman, I think,
Yeah.
down the road, right? So
yeah, and I think now's a great time. If you're going to buy multiples, it's the time to do it. And that kind of brings me to my next numbers, like the ASM collectibles, the Wonder Womans, the Harley Quinns,
yep,
the Marvel Comics 1. And then if you have $1,000 and you're really trying to diversify, I mean, Fantastic Four 1, ASM 1 is like 140.
Yep.
Almost everything is now half what it was at the peak.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So any of those would be a good move.
I think maybe we can discuss in like future top, because we're probably we're always bringing up the same grails, and
yeah,
we want to hear. Maybe we can bring up, if you already have those, what else would you get, right? Maybe that could be a good discussion.
Yeah. So for in the next, so what we're going to move into is best buys, and I was just curious to see, just any other falling prices that caught your eye. For me, I think the Falcon.
Falcon.
I saw he dropped to 50. And if you can grab him at like 50 or 45,
yep,
I think that's a solid come up.
Yes.
I think I saw a Storm, and I missed it. I think I saw a Storm go for like 58. And for a minute, she ran back up to like 83. Mm-hmm. Those sorts of things are pretty good. Tales of Suspense.
Yep, Tales of Suspense. I think it's 30s now again, right?
Yeah, but there were a couple that dipped like 27, 28. Now, it depends on what the mints are for those. But if you can catch a low mint with any first appearance, a low mint in the 20s is the move, because some of those books weren't there. Last time they were there was October.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah. No, I mean, see, that's the thing too. Like, probably people are noticing, oh man, first Black Widow is dipping. Why would I get I don't know, like the first
Spider-Man.
Yeah, the Spider-Man, when only a few more bucks you can get first Luke Cage, or first Black Widow, or etc. Even the X-Men 129, my favorites, right? They're all dipped too. And first Sabretooth, they're all like $15, right? So why would you get, like, I don't know, Dark Hawks or or first Elektra's Daredevil when you can get a bigger Grail, right? Like some like the Black Widow and the X-Men first Emma Frost, etc., right?
Like ASM 50 right now is back down at 38.
Nice.
And that wasn't, that was December probably. New Mutants 98 just cannot. I don't know. I don't know if that book is cursed, but it's back down to 31 and it was high as 75.
Yeah, no, it's a long hill upward for Deadpool. So yeah,
Your ASM, what is that? ASM 14
ASM 14
is right now. It's at 26.
Still 26 is still. I mean, I'm still good because like most of the ASM 13s I got was like in the $13 and under range. So
but I just mean if you're a new person to the platform, it's a great buy.
Oh, definitely. I think
that's what I'm saying. Like some of these are really, really strong buys because we know where they were.
Yep.
Right. Like and I think that's my recommendation to anybody who's new. Spend some time on the app, try and track some data using Vault Value or any of these other apps. And or just ask. I think if you ask in some of the groups, like, hey, does anybody remember what the high was for this collectible or for this product, for this collectible or for this comic, someone will be able to shout out because I'm sure they're probably either angry that they bought it then or they didn't sell it then. But most people will remember like, oh my God, I remember when it was as high as whatever. And then you can kind of gauge if it's worth buying, right? Like I'm looking at Fantastic Four 1 right now, 128. It was
dude, see, it depends on where you are in your portfolio. If you have like me, I have like 20, so I buying another one, and I bought everything for like $6.99. I'm not gonna buy it.
No.
But if you don't have one, or you have only 2 or 3, you want to get another one. Now's the time to buy because it can hit 200 probably again in 3 months, right? So I think it's definitely a good opportunity for people to load up on these grails before they hit 200-300 again, which is really, really possible. There's a question in the group. It's Luca Berghaus says, I have 1,400K gems. Which NFT would you buy? For example, Golden Moments, Homer and Bart, or Donald and Daisy?
So if I had to pick between
Homer
the
and
Ducks
Bart
or the Simpsons, I would go Simpsons all day long if you don't have them, because again, it's that Gen 1 Golden Moments thing. I just think that because it was D-Week and it was the first thing and it was the first one of the Disney licensing, I would go that. But if I had 1,400 gems to spend right now, I would look back at just some of those first appearances, whether it's, a Batman or a Joker. Try and maybe bundle it, maybe do like a Joker and an ASM collectible common, or even the uncommon's cool. Like I would look back at what was released, whatever, the spring of last year, this time last year, up through August. Because I think Spider-Man was dropped in August, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's definitely key. The first ones that the earlier drops is Homer and Bart. I do think that Donald and Daisy are bigger characters, but because there's that competition with the lenticular cards where it's a first edition, but technically I think it's borderline is the first appearance for those characters. So you'll always have that doubt if you do have the first appearance. So because of that, then go with the one that's a sure thing, the Homer and Bart, right? There's no argument that it's the first appearance or first edition, whatever it may be. But I still wouldn't sleep on Donald and Daisy. I think a Golden Moment plus a Donald Daisy, I would definitely consider still get. I want one, right? I'd rather get that. But the lenticular, I'll consider getting it if it dips a little bit, because I don't feel like I want to pay too much for a lenticular card.
Right. Yeah, we've talked about that. Like that mini, I really want a mini lenticular, and now it's finally right in that price point that I was talking about. It's in like the 3s. If it drops a little bit lower, I might pull the trigger on that.
Yeah.
But I'm still trying to backtrack too. So I think for the gentleman who asked the question,
Luca.
I think it's a matter of where in your portfolio you are, right? Like, are you spending $1,000 or 1,000 gems or 1,400 gems to try and make a quick come up to flip in 3 months, or are you investing 1,400 gems into something that you don't plan on selling for the next year or two, right? I think that's the other game.
I mean, if we're thinking about growth long term, because I'm mostly a long term investor, right? So is Homer and Bart going to grow more than this Donald and Daisy? That's a good question. I think Donald and Daisy have more upside. Even my daughter now, we were actually shocked. She was watching Mickey Mouse and bought Mickey Mouse coloring books like when we went to Target yesterday, and we're like, oh wow, like Mickey looks like they're a forever generational like favorite. So she still loves them, she still loves Paw Patrol more, but she was like, oh, I want this Mickey Mouse clubhouse, like coloring books, etc. So I was like, oh, see, that's the power of Mickey and Mickey Mouse collectibles, right? So I think there's upside there. So I think it's possible that can go up to 5K or more. I think.
Yeah, I mean that's so I don't have kids, and that's a really important observation. And I'm really curious. I bet you we could probably scrub some data from somewhere as far as like sales numbers and views of whatever TV show. But now that you said that about, when you have a new generation of consumer that's going to Target and saying, I want that, it's a completely different ballgame. Now, I know that Simpsons is renewed, I believe, up through 2024.
Mm-hmm.
So we know we'll get The Simpsons for another 2 years. What's scary is the question then becomes, who's going to be spending the money on golden moments? What generation are they? Do they hold The Simpsons near and dear to them? And I don't know the answer to these questions. I'm just asking out loud.
No, but that's the thing. I think I was one of that generation that grew up on Homer and Simpson, so but I didn't feel like I wanted to chase the Homer and Simpson golden moments, right?
Neither did I.
Well, I mean, but then again, I'm more of a superhero guy. I love my superheroes, so maybe I'm a bigger fan. But I watched Homer and Simpson during my college years, so it's my generation, right? So.
And what's tricky is, let's just say it gets renewed up through 2024 and it's done after 2024. What does it look like 5 years after? What does it look like in 2029 if there's no growth in that market and new consumers aren't brought to sort of that watering hole of The Simpsons in that world? It gets weird. I know there's a Simpsons world in Universal Studios, so that might help keep it alive a little bit, but it's anybody's guess.
Yeah. I mean, I'll try to get one if the price is right. But
so here's a good question. What is the right price for you?
Ooh, for golden moment though? I mean, geez, it's not gonna happen. I'd have to. I don't want to overpay for. I'd rather pay for like Joker and stuff, or Wonder Woman. But for me, the right price for that is never gonna happen. It's gonna be like under $500 or $600, and that's not gonna happen, right? So I don't think I'm ever gonna get one unless my other NFTs blow up again, and then I can sell and I have a lot of extra gems, and I'll get it. But I don't know if I'm gonna pay over 1K. I don't feel like I don't feel like I'm gonna pay over 1K for a Homer, Simpson, and Bart. I mean, for Donald Duck, I might pay over 1K. So
okay, so there you go.
Yeah, but that's me. So
Yeah, I keep going back to only now I want a Homer, but I think I'm buying. The question is, am I just buying into the hype of first golden moment licensed by Disney, first week? Am I just buying? Am I putting too much stock in the first of first?
Yep.
And I could be, because I think there are a lot of first that nobody really cares about. You know what I mean? Because it's the
Yeah,
first.
because even comic, I do have one copy of the first Homer, I think, Bart Simpson comic book, but just one, right? I didn't load up on it, so
Yeah.
you know, for some reason, I'm not as attached to the Bart and Homer. I don't know why. I loved watching them. I watched them so much when I was in college. So
now, okay, so this week, were there any prices that surprised you that were as low as they were?
oh, I mean, definitely we covered some of them, right? Some of
So
the
anything that we didn't talk about?
oh, but I mean that we didn't talk about. I mean, there's definitely uh I mean, I think most of them were like as expected, like the Spider-Man one, maybe that's also went down. I mean, everything else like dipped as expected. So because everything across the board went down. Let me just. I mean, I was tracking definitely one. Superman dipped also maybe 2K. It was 6. Now I think it's around 4. So that's dipped. I've been monitoring it. All my mighties were getting hit hard. So you know, we need my mighties to step it up. So I think they'll make a comeback. But all the mighties are getting hit hard. But their first appearances, so they're definitely gonna be because they have TV shows from Disney Plus and easily if you create a game and I saw toys for them in Target also. So
Really?
so I think they will probably do some sort of metaverse game because they're definitely prime. They look like metaverse type like kiddie games, right? That they'll probably build something around of. So I think I would keep them just because I do think that they have some sort of utility that they're going to use down the road. Oh, the one oh the Star Trek Ultra Rare has dipped really hard. I think it went up to 1,700. Now it's like 500 now. So that was painful.
Did you buy anything this week?
Um, yes, I bought. What did I buy? Not the miles. See, I did buy some of the miles, and I did buy some more low mint Luke Cages
Oh, okay.
because they were still affordable in the market. So mostly miles and Luke Cage is where I put my focus in for this week.
Nice. Did
Oh,
you?
some First Falcon comic book also, right? I bought a few, but not a lot. I bought another 2 more, so I have 4, but it's not a lot, right?
Did you sell anything this week?
I have not sold. I haven't sold anything in a long time.
Oh, really? Nice.
No, I'm hold.
I bought and sold. I sold a lot this week, like this, and it was only because everything was dropping at the same rate. If everything wasn't dropping at the same rate and it didn't make sense, I wouldn't have sold. But the Mickey hat dropped enough to where it made sense. Because believe it or not, had I sold when everything was roughly still at its high, I wouldn't have been able to catch the Mickey hat.
Well, yeah. Oh, so that's a good point, right? Like for me, I was dreaming about getting the partner statue, right?
Yeah.
But the partner statue kept going up while my NFTs were going up, but partner was going up some more. I was like thinking, is it worth it to sell all my Superman, all my Wonder Woman, all my Batmans, my Todd McFarlane just to get one? And I was like, I don't know. I think I'd rather. I'm a value investor, so I'm only gonna buy it if it's a good value. If I chase it, I need to have capital for it, right? So I wanted to see my other NFTs like pick up, maybe sell some Mighties, maybe sell some Wonder Woman, and then I'll get it. But like yeah, it seems like the partner was tracking with like the rest of the NFTs. If everything's hot, partner's gonna, so it's kind of hard to chase it. So I kind of gave up that I'm gonna be able to afford it. I don't want to pay for something that is uh, a value. I think it's the price is so high that like I'm probably rather just like sell off some and then start a side project, versus like park it in partners where there's a little bit higher risk concentrating all your investment in one item that I think that if it drops then you lost everything, right? So
yeah. Yep. Yeah, I was I don't know the high let me see if I can find it real quick. The high for the Mickey hat.
Yeah, it went up, right? It went up. Didn't it go up like 3 or 4K or something like that?
Oh man, I don't know what its highest let me see.
You should
The
have just schmoozed Michael and get his Mickey hat.
the all-time high for the Mickey hat was like um it
5K.
says like 6,200
Wow.
was the
Wow.
all-time high, and that was during the crazy
Wow.
boom. And during that crazy boom, all my other stuff was at its all-time high, but I couldn't really catch it until it dropped with everything else, and then I was able to time it. But that was probably the only thing that forced me to sell a lot of stuff. I sold a Joe Bats. I sold my Wonder Woman. I sold a Catwoman. I sold a Storm.
So
I sold a Fantastic Four 5. I sold
you sold a lot, man.
a Black Cat. Oh, dude, yeah. But so I realized like these were things that I was accumulating, and I think this is a piece of advice for literally anybody who's finds themselves like spinning their wheels a little bit. I think over time I was just making a bunch of small spends and not staying focused on something. And I probably would have had the Mickey hat sooner had I just not made all of those smaller spends. So that's the only thing. So I sort of consolidated and wiped the board clean and wound up doing okay. But other than so I bought the Mickey hat and then I bought the motorcycle.
That's a good point. I think we should cover in the next series too. Like there's the short game and the long games, right? So I think there's opportunities for both. I think yeah, I mean flipping like ones that you have that increase value and then getting a high value one, that's definitely a good strategy. So if you can do it, but it's definitely hard to time also. So you have to be ready to take a hit, also. Versus like
Yeah.
long game for me, I'm all about like long game, so it's all about the accumulation of assets and then long term, have like a large asset base that's gonna increase over time. So that's kind of my overall strategy. But I do want to sell here and there, but it's hard for me. I rarely sell quickly. So
Yeah. Now, what are your thoughts for this upcoming week? What are you hoping to see? What do you think we'll see? We're getting Loki,
you're getting Loki.
which I feel like is another one of those books that if you're gonna buy that, then make sure you have these other things first. Like I don't know, but what do you think about the rest of the week?
So it's interesting. I mean, definitely they're gonna close out, getting featuring Black History Month, right? So I mean, I still think there's a good chance that they will. It's 10 more days or 8 more days that Black Panther is going to be released. So that's a big one. Once we get the first Black Panther, either collectible or comic, that's gonna be huge, right? Uh, if they're promoting stuff like the Loki is interesting because it's possible the season what's that season 2 for Loki is going to be coming up probably next, maybe in Disney Plus. So they're probably promoting shows that are upcoming.
Do we see him in Doctor Strange?
Oh, did he see him in the trailer? I don't remember seeing Loki in the trailer, but in the Disney Plus he was there. You never know. He might appear, right? So because everybody else in Disney Plus seems to have appeared in that brief trailer. Oh,
Right, and that's what I'm.
Woo, X-Men. We gotta have some X-Men with that Professor X appearance and Illuminati. I wouldn't be surprised if they have Illuminati type NFTs coming, right?
Right.
So
Yeah,
that would be
I think I'm curious to see if we get Blade this month.
Blade. Ooh,
I
Blade
think
would be
if it,
good.
we're definitely due our realistic Marvel collectible. I think because they've been on track of releasing one a month. and it seems like all signs point to Black Panther.
Black Panther.
So the question really is going to be, what does that price look like? Because now we've got these other ceilings, right? We've got the Black Panther collectible. The common won't go as high as 400, 500, because that's the Spider-Man common sort of ceiling, right? We know it's going to be probably as low as 50 to 100. So I don't know.
Do you think it's a comic or a collectible?
I think we get the collectible.
Collectible.
Yeah, for sure. Because like I said, they release a realistic figure once a month so far.
Yep. First appearance of Black Panther. That's gonna be a doozy.
I think it would be good. The question just becomes, does it become more valuable than the other collectibles? I
think so. I mean, who's the big Marvel? Oh, and do you think it's a mighty or it's a non-mighty?
If it's a mighty, I'm not buying it. But I don't think it's a mighty because I think the mighties came out at the beginning of February for this month.
Okay. Yeah.
I can't double check that release date. I think. Let me see.
Let me look at Invisible Woman too. Invisible Woman numbers. Oh, they're cheap. Oh man. So
dipped. So the mighties, the Spider-Verse mighties with Green Goblin and Black Cat and Ghost Spider, they came out January 30th. So we might catch Black Panther or like Wakanda mighties at the end of like the very next Sunday. But I still think we get a realistic character. I think as far as comics go, we probably get a Black Panther. We probably get a Tomb of Dracula 10.
Oh, that would be nice.
Those are the two that are sticking out in my mind.
Yeah. I agree. I think Blade or Black Panther is probably coming as more than likely that's gonna happen. So it should be exciting. I definitely want to get a few, but depending on the price points.
So so that's a good. What are the price points that make sense for you on those books?
Well, for comics, it's gonna be the same, right? $6.99. But jumping out of the gate, we've seen them jump out of the gate and they jump into like the 20s to 60s, right? And then it drops if it's not a hot comic. So I would, if you can. Yeah, man, that's a hard part because I don't like buying anymore right out of the gate. I like to buy it after it's dropped. So I would probably it'll probably start at 25s, it'll go up to 60s, 80s, and then it'll drop down after like a month back to like 20s and 30s. Then that's probably when I'll get like maybe a few copies, right? If it's still a deal.
Yeah, I think a lot of this month's comics that were key issues, including like Strange Academy and those books they've jumped, open market, they've climbed to like 28, 29.
Yep.
And then they've hovered around 23.
Yeah.
And now some of them are finally back into like the high teens. I think Strange Academy is still like 21, 22.
Yep.
But like the first binary, that ASM Annual 16, I think was down as low as 14.
Yeah.
Very recently.
Yeah, the only one I think that has retained a little bit higher value, but it's also dropped. The Black Panther, the first what he calls the first Okoye and Dora Milaje, right? It went up to 60. Now it's 32. So I think Black Panther will probably be around that range.
Right.
But seeing how like Black Widow, etc., like started dipping to the 30s or 25s. I mean, I think that's probably, if you wanted to load up, that's probably the right target range. I might just try to get a few low mints, if I see any good deals.
Yeah.
It's so hard to stack now because when I stacked before, they were all under $10. Now 20s and 30s, it's hard to stack, right? So there's a higher risk that it will drop and be volatile for like a few months, right? So
yeah, I've been trying to go with like 3. If I can get 3 copies of a book, it's 60, especially if they're around that $20 price point. And if I can really squeeze it, like get a low mint that's sort of in there, that's pretty much where I've been living with the most recent books. I went crazy with Strange Academy just because I love the book.
Yeah.
But going back to, I guess, that if I had $1,400, I think another question is, if let's throw the golden moments away and just say 1,400 gems. Something that you might want to consider is looking literally at the next 2 weeks and thinking like, okay, there are these older season 1 things that I want, but if I'm going to play my cards these next 2 weeks, we might be getting Fantastic 452, the first appearance of Black Panther. We might be getting Tomb of Dracula 10, first appearance of Blade. We might be getting a Black Panther collectible. Do I just go crazy on these things and then just hope that they outpace the recovery?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't go crazy. I'd be careful unless you're. See, the thing is, it's okay if you're holding for long term, because long term Black Panther probably will be over 100, maybe over 200. So, but if you are going to buy it at 60 when it jumps out of the gate and then it dips to 20, expect there's a high likelihood you will lose short term, right? So if you are going to freak out and then start complaining that it's a scam, then it's not the right strategy to buy it.
I think a good piece of advice for comics that we've, at least from what I've seen historically in this new market, because I think, like you said, gone are the days of $4 comics, $10 comics. I think if you are paying over $30 a comic, you are probably overpaying unless you find a super low mint that you're in love with. Like, that's a whole other conversation. But even with new comics, I've been trying to live in the world of like 15 to 20.
Yep.
Anything over that gets a little wild.
It depends too, right? So we were just talking about like investment purposes too, right? If you there's a couple that I noticed, like the Craven series, they're dipping under $15 now, right? And that's what I expected, because they're mostly PC type books, right? And I'm not gonna pay like more than $20 for PC books. We all think that it definitely will dip, and I'm seeing some at $12, $13 too. So it depends. If you want to be you're a PC collector, then I would try to just get one, and then it doesn't matter how much you pay for it because you collect it, right? But if you're investing, if you wanna not take a hit long term, maybe buy a few and then watch the market, see if it dips after a month or two or a few days or whatever, and then slowly build it up, and then mix it up with like low mints, etc., right? So I mean, for me, for Black Panther, I expect at the minimum I'm gonna get at least 10 copies of that, and Tomb of Dracula First Blade, I will definitely get at least 10. If the price is right, I'll get to 20 eventually, right? So that's my kind of goals. But if the price is right, if they're all out of the gate over $100, I'm not gonna get like 10. I'm gonna get maybe one copy, So.
Yeah, that's right. I probably won't stack those books unless they're in
the 20,
the low 20s. Unless I find a mint that I think is a great deal. So.
Yeah, because there's so many comics now that you can get for the 20s. You can get like first Scarlet Witch. It's right now. Oh well, it's 37, so that's still high. So you can get like Luke Cage. I think it's still in the 20s, right? So I would like, instead of getting that, like it's $18.90, $19 for Luke Cage, right? So I'd rather get those, versus like stacking. But I don't know, Black Panther though.
I know it's gonna be tough.
Black Panther, I think it's tough. I definitely want at least 10 of Black Panther.
Well, I have faith in you, Nothmar. If anybody can do it, it's you.
No, slowly. I'm trying to be smart. I'm not gonna pay like 10 and pay like $80 out of the gate and pay 10. I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Well, listen, that is our show. We had a skeleton crew today, but as always, a pleasure. My name's Carmen. This is Nothmar. We are the NFT marketplace in Dojo. Have a good night. Take it easy, Nothmar.
Take it easy. Good night.